Hello, my name is Joceline Acosta. I'm part of Group 6, as well as Mauro, Duran, and Enrique Marin. And for the group project, we chose the Trust Bridge.
So a little bit of the bridge background. It was used as early as back as the late 1500s. The bridges are simple yet sturdy bridges, easily characterized by the triangular pattern shape supporting the structure of the bridge. They are usually built from wooden and metal materials, but for the project, we utilize straws. So a little bit extra background that's not there is that one of the reasons we chose this bridge is because the simple truss bridge is good for long distances. And since we were using straws as a material and it's a lot weaker than metal, we assumed that it would have been a good alternative to keeping the structure intact.
Since we had to do our group project online, we had to distribute responsibilities between the three of us. So Mauro was in charge of getting together with Enrique to get the details about the inventor model of the bridge, to create a tangible 3D model as per the instructions laid out by the professor and ensure it meets all the requirements, document the process of building the bridge and upload all data to the statics report shared document. Enrique was in charge of the design and bridge project and to ensure everybody is aware of any changes made to the model. Create a prototype of the model on Inventor and share dimensions and details of the bridge with the group. Keep communication with all team members by setting up meetings to ensure everybody is staying on the same page as the report is being built. Jocelyn was in charge of creating an outline and managing the statics report shared document, ensuring everybody is doing their part of the project and properly uploading it to the shared document, editing and proofreading all posts to ensure report reads in a clear and concise manner, taking note of all meetings and recording them, and completing the PowerPoint presentation.
The backbone of our project was basically the meetings. Trying to do a project during COVID was pretty tough, so these meetings told us what to do and who was going to do it. Our first meeting was on November the 2nd. It was lasted about 47 minutes, and there we discussed project details and distribution of responsibilities. For our following meeting on the 11th of November, lasted just a little bit over an hour, and we shared bridge ideas and settled for one. For that meeting, we all researched a couple of different bridges, and during the meeting, we came together and ended up choosing that truss bridge. On November 20th, we held our third meeting, and it lasted 1 hour and 20 minutes. There we had update on the details of the inventor model and 3D model between Enrique and myself, and beginning gathering information for the PowerPoint and report. So there we delegated who was going to research what part, how we were going to test that model, and basically the dimensions of the final model. On November 27th, we held another meeting, lasted about 58 minutes, and there we exchanged all the information we gathered, which we planned to gather on the previous meeting, and we basically piled it all up together and decided what's going to the project and who's going to write what. That way we won't write the same thing twice. Next, on December 2nd, we held another meeting, which lasted approximately 1 hour and 7 minutes. There we reviewed information and making sure that we were on track, making sure nothing was left out, and we used the syllabus and made sure we hit every single point on the syllabus. Our final meeting was the 8th of December, where we actually tested the bridge, created the video presentation, and put it all together.
So for the inventor model, we actually had a couple designs that are not on here, but ultimately, since we decided to go with this one, this was our final design. Originally, I started creating it all together as just one bridge, but I was having too many issues with it, so I ended up deciding to create it using with the three different parts. So after the three parts were created, I went to the assembly, and a couple issues we're having in there were that when we were connecting the parts, half of the parts would just rotate or they would intersect in between each other. So a lot of issues were going through it, and it was taking forever to figure it out. But of course, through the end, we were able to figure out how to assemble every piece together like properly. And this was our couple of views that we had. And yes.
Okay, so for the calculations, we just used the length of the bridge as well as the height, and we kind of like assumed what the force was gonna be. So yeah, we just like used the methods of sections to find to find the forces.
For the 3D model, you can see the final picture on the top right-hand corner. Although it looked pretty simple, it was actually quite challenging. On the first picture in the top left, you can see the materials we used. We used the straws, hot glue gun, pair of scissors, and a measuring tape. We started off by cutting every single straw into a length of 6 inches, and then glue those together until we reached a final length of 12 inches. So there we had our base that's 12 by 6 inches. And now for the actual truss part, we did 4 inches of height. So you can see on the bottom right corner, you have the beginning structure of the truss. And then after we did that, we just added the triangle segments inside each part, glued that straight on top of the base, and you can see our final project on the top right. As for the results, in order to figure out the max weight our bridge could support, I set a pair of end tables on top of a storage containers and then placed the bridge in between them, as you can see in the picture. After that, I tied a bucket in between the bridge truss, and I started filling it with water because I didn't have any actual weights or a scale. I started off by filling 2 cups of water at a time, and I thought it was going quite slowly. It was a lot stronger than I thought, so I moved up to 4 cups of water. Once I noticed it started to bend, then we reduced it to 1 cup at a time until I held a total of 38 cups of water. And to get the weight out of that, we use the density of water per cup, which is 0.52 pounds per cup. And in the end, our bridge ended up holding 19.76 pounds. On the right, we also have links to a YouTube video of us testing the bridge, and you can see it fall. It's pretty cool.
So some difficulties we found was the change of course structure. So we had to adjust to doing the project electronically, so we couldn't meet face to face. So that also made it difficult to get in touch with some members. So in the end, instead of having 5 members in our group, we ended up having 3. And we had to like learn how to communicate with each other because we all had different schedules. And also the work was divided differently since there was only 3 of us. So we had to like balance the work between the 3 of us.
So what we learned through this project was how to manage our time and keeping on schedule. Since we didn't have the full number of members, we started a little bit late, and due to that, we're scheduling meetings ahead of time. Yeah, it was difficulty. It was difficult finding those times since everyone had weird work schedules, but in the end, we were able to figure it out. And we learned how to divide the task equally, because although it was originally 5, it ended up 3, as I said, and it was a little bit difficult just separating the tasks. Uh, but I think the main problem that we had was the communicating, and we're learning that better throughout every single schedule. We're able to communicate every single one's opinions or ideas that we had throughout every single of the meetings that we continue occurring. And then last but not least, how to use our resources to complete our part. Since we couldn't meet in person, we had to do everything online. So of course our resources were a lot more limiting, but we were able to figure out how to manage that as well.
So for my individual experience, Mauro, by the way, the biggest challenge was simply to get the ball rolling and contact all the members. It was actually Enrique who started texting all of us like, hey, he started a group chat and asked us when we could get together, do a Zoom meeting or meet through Blackboard. So without him getting the ball rolling, I don't think we would have started as fast as we could. Other than that, there was other than that, there was no. It was only three of us instead of five, and there was no real way to force those other two members to contact us back. We never got to meet in person, and this was all online. But overall, it was a pretty good experience, and I think it actually helped a lot. It made us more resourceful as individuals, and we kind of held each other accountable for our responsibilities.
For my experience, like we mentioned before, we had to do everything online. So when we divided the work, we actually had to trust each other that we would complete our part, you know. And even though we did not meet face to face, we made sure to keep each other informed on our progress. So if there were any changes, we would let each other know. And in the end, I think communication was the most important part to working as a team, especially because we couldn't see each other in person.
Yeah, so for myself, I think the worst experience was for the COVID situation, since it brought, I guess, most of the challenge for everyone. Since we weren't able to meet in person, part of the project was slightly difficult. So when we were trying to communicate online, it's easier to do it in person, since you can show examples of what you want, while online you can't really do that. And at first it was awkward because we couldn't really figure each other out, but in the end we did. Thankfully, everyone was able to do like each one of their roles, and as everyone else said, like everyone held each other accountable for everything they needed to do. But overall, I think it was a positive experience since we get to see how projects are able to be completed without ever seeing the face of a person. And I believe that concludes our presentation for our project.